What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Timcraft. In today's episode, I'm going to be continuing on the work that I started on the last episode. I do apologize for the big time delay between the two episodes. I've been focusing on my schoolwork recently, which fortunately does get priority, and I haven't been able to dedicate as much time to growing my channel. And on that note, growth, particularly in the early days of channels, is very important. So if you do enjoy the content, please like, share, and subscribe. Anything to boost the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, I've been working on the farm as well as a couple of the other areas. I finished up the walls. I was going to do a time lapse of that. But I figured that you guys have already seen it, and you already understand the underlying mechanisms of the design, so there's not really any further need to, showcase that off. But I will do a couple of light time lapses showcasing the building of the farm. I'm not going to do anything intense. I took a bunch of cool footage, but I'm not even sure I'm going to show it, in part because I don't really know how to properly implement it. Hi guys, I'm just interjecting here in post really quickly. I decided to overlay that footage just because I think that it's cool to see builds come to life, and I think that you guys would also enjoy it. It's going to be a commentary style instead of the normal music overlay style that I do. Also, you might hear the microphone peak a couple of times during the video. That's not indicative of the microphone itself, and that is 100% user error. But other than that, let's get back to the video. I signed up for a couple of online courses talking about videography and stuff like that, and I'm hoping to really sit down and teach myself how to properly understand these tools and mechanisms, both just as a learning opportunity for myself, and secondly, so that way you guys watching can enjoy the content. On the topic though of improving the channel, you guys notice anything different about my voice? I got a new microphone. My old microphone was a dedicated USB conference microphone, and I got it from Walmart for something like $15 a couple of months ago, and it worked fine for online school, which is what I needed it for. But since it is like a conference microphone, the goal is to pick up everybody in the room so that way they can all be equally heard. So it picks up everything, and then using some funky circuitry, it tries to make everything roughly the same volume. And like I said, that works for conference situations, but for recording and overlays, it's not ideal, to say the least. So you would get weird buzzes and stuff like that. My keyboard would be overly loud because it'd be picking everything up and trying to maximize it. But this time I went ahead and I got a lavalier microphone. It's a Purple Panda lavalier microphone. I was debating between doing this one and a couple other ones, but no, I settled on this one. I wanted a lavalier microphone just because I have a couple of sources of noise in my room, namely my fish tank, air pumps, air pumps, filtration systems, stuff like that. I have an extra computer in here which generates quite a bit of noise, and I got siblings too running around the house. So I'm hoping that overall this microphone sounds better, particularly compared to the last one. Let me know what you guys think, particularly down in the comments. I really appreciate any input that I get, and it actually really does help, particularly since I am so new to everything. But I figure as a good starting point, we could use this as a segue to talk about what I'm doing here. So I did work a bit on the farm, and I'm hoping that I've been showing you some of the time-lapse stuff for that. Just real quick, doesn't need to be anything major. I've been building up these silos, which I co-opted, or I shouldn't say co-opted, I came up with the design, but I modified the design, because originally they were over there, closer to the ocean, and since this is supposed to be food, I decided to build a couple more of them, and then I'm going to do something over here. I'm not quite sure yet. I have these water towers over in the docks I'm thinking about using, but ultimately it'll come down to time, just whatever shows up. But yeah, at least for this section, I'd say I'm done. The next thing that I want to work on though is these housings right here, right? If I pull up the DIN map for the server, with a little bit of video magic, you can see how underdeveloped this area is, particularly next to the Coliseum, in contrast to the area directly, west of it. And I'm hoping to build it up so that way the area around the Coliseum is crowded and it looks like there's a well-established grouping of homes, similar in the, I think, favelas? I think that's the name, except not as poverty-stricken. I'm hoping my kingdom's a little wealthier. I don't think I'm using the right word there. If I find it, I'll throw it up there. But yeah, and I started working on this today, in between classwork, just a couple minutes here and there, and I got this apartment design because for Christmas I got a Minecraft builder book or whatever, and it had this English style homes, and they had these cross-sectional pieces in them to segment homes. And I liked the concept, and I toyed around with implementing it here. In which I did. Originally I tested it way over there. I think you can see sneak peeks of it in the second video on the channel, where I was first messing around with time-lapsing techniques. But overall, I'm a really big fan of it, and I think that it works well, particularly as I look to expand the headcanon that I have for the server. I really want to sit down one day, though, and write down the headcanon. It's not really like a fully fledged story, but I do have some connecting ideas for how I think everything's set up, and I'd love to be able to explore more of that, seeing the way that season 1, 2, and 3 are all intertwined. And I'm also joining a small YouTube channel, SMP, Stumpy SMP, created by none other than Stumpy himself. I hopped onto that, and I just can't. I'm just really excited. Ultimately, everyone there is so ridiculously nice, and it's cool to be able to share my hobbies, especially in the video space, with people I don't want to say who are like-minded, but at least understand what process goes into making videos. So it's just nice to be in an environment like that, and I'm so excited. Launch day for me as of recording this is tomorrow. But by the time that this video comes up, it will probably be the day of. I'm hoping to do a singular Timcraft episode a week, as well as a Stumpy MC episode a week. It's just gonna be one of those time questions, and seeing how I can fit it in my schedule. I'm not like really busy. I just have a lot of hobbies that I do, you know, and I gotta squeeze it in there. But time will tell. And I'm hoping now that school is winding down out of finals and stuff like that, I will be able to dedicate more time. Cause I mean, you know, I don't have a lot of ooh, I do not like you. See, there's this little trick, right? If you fly away and reload the chunks, mobs will despawn. It's kind of cheeky, but you know, it works. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I think I remember. The channel isn't, you know, supposed to be like a very large thing. It's very much more of a fun, casual kind of experience, but I would absolutely love to be able to see it grow and develop, and I've been noticing that more. My last video got something insane like 45 views, and for, you know, you compare that to something like Dream or even smaller Minecraft YouTubers, that doesn't seem like a lot, but I've never, outside of like friends I've known directly at school, gotten more than 45 interactions from direct strangers on something. I'm not counting something like Reddit upvotes or something stupid like that. And it's exciting, you know, and I can definitely see the thrill of why a lot of people want to do it, particularly for the community aspect that it provides. Being able to interact with fans there's something exciting about it, and not even from the fact that they like you, but the correlation is that the people who are more involved in watching your content are ultimately going to have a better profile developed of you, and they're going to be able to provide a lot more meaningful conversations directly related to the content. And you can have conversations about the content that you normally wouldn't be able to get with other people. And it forms a special relationship, you know, where, oh, that's a trapdoor, between content creators and fans, and it's a dance. Like I can talk to, you know, friends and family about my YouTube channel and stuff like that, and about how I'm really excited to do it. But unless they watch it, you know, they're not really gonna get the same effect as if I talk to them as if I were talking to a fan, you know. And that's gonna be my goal. I'm really hoping to by summertime being at 100 subscribers and having 1 or 2 consistent people just commenting and stuff like that. Because, you know, I mentioned in the first video, my goal really isn't to make money. I don't have any, I shouldn't say any financial aspirations, because I do want to improve my setup, but it's not coming from a position of making me money. It's from a position of I could use it to help out other people. I don't really know. I mean, it would be nice, but it's a debate that does not need to be answered right now, ultimately. And something that'll come along, but I still mostly stand by my point. My goal, you know, isn't to make, I don't want to make a living. I should say that. I do not want to make a living off of this. But I still do want that active, you know, grouping of fans. Yeah, it's not, you know, like a directly a fan thing. It's that same comment I was talking about, having just people who know your content from an external perspective, being able to provide you with a lot of insight that, you know, you normally otherwise wouldn't get. And I'm a really big fan of that, you know. I think I've mentioned that actually 1 or 2 times, and that's really what I'm striving for. And influences, you know, you kind of start to get that sink-in feeling. You're like, what do I want to do with myself? And it starts to pivot to the point of, how do I want to influence others around me? And I feel like I'm pretty positive, and I'm hoping to continue that personality with a lot of my videos. I don't know if I like that. But I want to act as a, you know, like a positive influence for people, and, you know, just being like a, hi guys, welcome to so-and-so server. And yeah, you know, I can talk about how much I want to do it, but, you know, until it actually comes down to it, it's a little up in the air, you know. You know, the insides aren't done, but I'm going to move on for now, just because I do want to focus on some of these other buildings. And I have my wonderful, wonderful chest monster situation still going on that I desperately need to fix. I think it's kind of starting to take precedent over building up the Coliseum. The other players on the server might not like that, but I am absolutely like running out of space. There's more shulker boxes there, there's more in here. I still don't have a super smelter, so I had to set up this really dirty thing. Ooh, oh hey, real dirty thing super fast, just throwing coal blocks and AFK'd while I was reading a book. But I need some way to store items, particularly as I start getting into, I don't want to say mega base. Should I say mega base? You know, let me know what you think. I'm starting to get into the point where, why can't I jump? Or sprint jump. Where just shulker boxes isn't cutting it for storage. And I am running out of resources left and right. I'm at a point where I'm personally dumbfounded on how to properly start working with resource management. And this is starting to get into the game theory of Minecraft. And actual resource management and different things like that, which I have never been good at. I thought I was pretty good at Factorio, but the fact that solar panels made up half my world would probably not point you to that conclusion. I just need a better way to store stuff. And I talked about doing it under, you can't see it, but that little underhanging city. I was talking about doing it there. And then I have a couple ideas for smaller projects. I might do these on the other SMP server. Also, let me know, guys, know how you would prefer videos to be formatted. I don't want to compete with other YouTubers, because if I do something like Tuesday, Friday, there's going to be a lot of competition for video views. And again, it's not a monetary thing at that point. It's a growth thing. And the problem is that if Mumbo and Green and Dream never uploads consistently. If Mumbo and Green and Iskal and Fwip, Fundy, all these guys start dropping Minecraft videos at the same time based on their scheduling, I'm just gonna get lost in the noise. And so I want a time that's convenient, but I also do not want a time that will cause me to kind of get lost within the algorithm. And it's a dance I really kind of need to focus on. This is going to be another one of those questions. Let me know what you think. I'm going to further regurgitate it in the comments, just so people who skipped ahead at times see what other content was involved in the video. And another thing too I wanted to ask about was thumbnails. My last video has my highest amount of viewers by far. And a lot of it comes down to channel pages. I've been making an effort to going out and involving myself in community stuff. Not that I'm doing it for the sole purpose of gaining viewership on my channel. I like reaching out and talking to people about projects and stuff like that. But I switched it to this channel, and something like 70% of just sheer viewership of my channel is all from channel pages. It's from people clicking on my thing and looking. And I originally thought it was just from me sharing, the videos. But that didn't turn out to be the case, because I looked within YouTube statistics, because I now have enough viewership on the channel to be able to use those tools, at least to an amount that it's statistically significant. And direct links were not even 10% of my total viewership in terms of amounts. And so it's been involving myself with other groups and communities and stuff like that. And I just wanted your guys' perspectives. If you are coming from another group or another part of YouTube, I would absolutely love to hear your opinion on what you think of the videos. I'd love for you to stick around, but ultimately you don't have to. Another thing to talk about is viewer retention. I have pretty alright viewer retention, but the big thing is that I'm dealing with more slow blow commentary style stuff, which in more recent times is kind of switching to be more of a streaming situation, because you can interact with fans directly, and it doesn't lead to long drawn out conversations. But as somebody who likes pen paling, it's not necessarily a problem in my eyes. But to individuals who don't want to sit through an entire 20-something minute commentary of me just rambling, how do you feel about commentary style videos? And again, I'm gonna consolidate all these questions and stuff in the comments of the video, and I'll link timestamps for when these particular questions are asked. But ultimately, it comes down to what do people want to see? Do you want to see time lapses showing off my builds? Do you want to be with me as I go through my methodology with the builds? Is it I'm just gonna make this real fast. Is it personality? Oh, that's not enough. It's sort of a digital identity crisis, and finding that happy middle ground is really going to be the goal. And I have scaffolding. Why have I been using dirt? I think I'm just dumb. um, ultimately, you know, you guys are the ones watching the content, and you guys are, you know, right, so to speak. What you watch is what you want to watch, and my goal is to share what I create within a capacity that makes sense for you. And in the same way that I'd love to listen to an audiobook when I do long builds, but I don't want to spend the time actually reading that book because I'm, you know, playing Minecraft. It comes down to content delivery. I'd absolutely love to listen to The Bluest Eye, but in my, you know, my current situation, I would much rather listen to it in an audiobook format than sitting down and reading it. Not to say I don't like reading. I just started Moby Dick and it's pretty good. It's just the, you know, content delivery systems and how to properly manage that. You know, what do you guys want? All right, so finished another house. I think I'm just gonna throw the rest of these up into a time lapse. They are pretty metonymous in the building of them, and there's not a lot of distinction between them, if we're being honest. Although the metonymy helps with keeping the base homogenic, I think that's the right word, homogeneous. In the confines of telling a story, it doesn't do a very good job in terms of entertaining a viewer when every building is almost, you know, synonymous with the next. So I'll just throw the rest of that into a time lapse. But before I do, you know, I'll build for a little bit more, and I'll talk about what I want to do. There's a bridge over there. There's a house right there. I think this was actually the point, the thing that I lost my train of thought earlier. It wasn't that one thing that I mentioned. It was I want to try some visual poetry. There's a poem. I don't remember who it's by. Something Sherman, I think. Called Ozymandias. And it's a myth, not a myth. It's a poem talking about. I say a lot, don't I? Talking about basically how kingdoms and stuff don't last forever, and this weird aspiration a lot of people have for preserving their legacy almost always turns to dust. And the main apex of the poem ends with I'm trying to remember the name for it. I'm not very good with naming stuff. The main subject of the poem, just looking out and be like, you know, what is it talking about? Because it's talking about two vast and trunkless legs of stone in the desert still. And it's sitting on top of a plaque and says, "My name is King Ozymandias. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair." And then it says, you know, "Nothing beside remains," or whatever, you know, say it in like a fancy British sounding poetry voice. Give it a little bit of dramatic flair. And it does play into the thing that, you know, there are many kingdoms out there that thought they were going to live forever. And the superficiality of power long term is, you know, just something to note. And I really want to model that. I would absolutely love to build two vast and trunkless legs of stone out in the desert. There's a desert over there, but it's been mined a lot, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly really far away and kind of hide it. It might be something that I do on the Stumpy SMP. There's a lot of cool story elements that people are building up, and I think doing something like that would be a cool way to integrate it. I'm not too sure though. It really depends on you know how the server progresses. I thought, oh, there it is. You know, it really ultimately is going to depend on how the server progresses. And then I have one absolutely last thing I wanted to talk about as I continue with my ramblings. Performance. So I have a fairly good system. Oh, this isn't supposed to go here. I'm running a Ryzen 5 3600, 16 gigs of 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM. I have a 256 gigabyte internal it's a SATA SSD. It's not NVMe or M.2. A SATA SSD with 4 terabytes of external storage, 2 of which is being transitioned to another computer to act as a NAS. and I'm running a 1060 Ti. And the problem that I'm running into is when I have too many, I think I'm running out of RAM. That's the big thing, because the second that I have 2 video streams running, because when I record time lapses, I record it on a second account while I play on the first, and I have shaders on the time lapse account, but on the main account I have to turn them off, and I have to go to fast settings, because otherwise my computer is starting to stutter a little bit. And I check System Manager, and CPU is fine. It's never maxing out CPU, but it's always graphics and RAM. And you know, that makes sense considering that I am recording 2 streams and I have 2 active running Minecraft sessions. And so upgrading RAM is definitely going to be something that I have to do next payday. But upgrading the graphics card is something that's, I don't want to say a little bit scary to me, but something that I'm not too sure is actually a culprit. I am running on Linux. If you're really curious, Mint Cinnamon 20.1. If you don't really care about Linux stuff, you can skip past this part. But Linux has traditionally had bad situations with drivers just because manufacturers are less inclined to give them the microcode in order to properly develop drivers for the systems. Do I want to do something here? I don't know. Properly giving them the microcode so they can develop the drivers, and it gets frustrating, especially with NVIDIA, because they're quite hostile to open source frameworks, and they oftentimes will take active measures against preventing it. They get some weird hate thing that I don't understand it, but it's particularly frustrating dealing with graphics drivers. I personally have never had a problem, but now that I'm starting to get into these more GPU intensive tasks, I think that that's what the graphics thing actually is, and it's not so much a performance problem. If somebody does have a 1060 to compare it against, I really would love to hear. But I have a buddy in Utah who has a spare 1060 he got, and he offered to sell it to me for MSRP plus tax. And I honestly might take him up on it when the tax refund comes through. Just because, this plays into the whole mantra. What do I want to do for the channel? Do I want to see myself grow as a YouTuber? Because buying it is almost exclusively for the YouTube thing. I only play like 4 games, and none of them are graphically intensive. You have Minecraft, War Thunder, Guild Wars sometimes, and if I'm feeling really special, League of Legends. None of these are particularly intensive. Although with War Thunder's new update, it might be a little bit more, but I haven't played since then. Which goes to show that, I haven't been playing one of my favorite games in a while. I consider myself a not very, very active gamer, to say the least. And buying a high-end graphics card for the channel it's just, it's a thought process. Am I investing in it because I want to get something out of it, or am I doing it as a way to show I like what I'm doing? And it's you start getting into hard questions like that. Is it worth it? On the moment, honestly, I would say it is, just because I really do like sharing what I do in the game. Minecraft is a game that is centered around collaborative effort, and although you can do a lot of stuff, privately, I really do feel that Minecraft gets its opportunity to shine when you see large-scale individual things put together, and something's bigger than the sum of its parts. Emergence, so to speak, of something beautiful out of the chaos. And I really think that Minecraft shines at that. And it's a question of, do I invest in the channel because I really want to share, or am I doing it because I want to get famous? It's an underlying question, because what it comes down to is everybody wants attention in some way, and I need to sit down and really think about what that internal resolution is. Do I want to invest in it because I want those fan interactions like I mentioned earlier, or is it because I want the other aspects that come with it? and it's not that I like haven't thought about it, but it starts to get into the philosophical area of, you know, it's still what do I want? Because you start doing this stuff and it starts merging into a more professional, I say professional, into a more organized situation. It's just stuff that I'm actually going to need to like really, really consider over time. And, you know, it's whatever. I would love to explore it, but it's going to come down to time and resources, really. I do have other things I should be prioritizing, such as saving and stuff like that. But in the same sense, I don't really have a lot of bills, so I do have the privilege to be able to do it. And but it is all on my time. Like the microphone I just got, I had to pay something like $40 out of pocket for it. And I personally would. Where did my wood go? I swear I grabbed a stack of logs. Oh, hey, here it is. Dude, I'm so bad at keeping up my train of thought. What the heck? That's not right. That is not right, sir. Keeping up that those aspirations and stuff like that. Because I did spend $40 on this microphone. Originally it's 20, but you know, COVID. And is it because I want the channel to get big because I want the sheer attention that it provides, or do I want it to get bigger because yeah, like I said, it's starting to verge into like the right and proper philosophical area of I wouldn't even begin to know how to define it, and it's something that I am going to need to think about for a while. Again, I love everyone's inputs on it, and I'll throw it in the bottom too. I say for a update video, this is probably long enough. I don't think I got a whole lot done over here, but I think over here I got a whole lot done, and I think that it's enough. But no, I'm overall I'm still really excited to see how the channel will progress and grow and stuff like that. And again, any feedback, if you like what you see, please consider sharing, subscribing, liking, commenting, anything to boost the engagement with the YouTube algorithm. You know, go ahead and get into a fight in the comments. I'm gonna keep my hands out of it, but it'll boost engagement, as Technology Connection says. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stick around next time.